The antique diamond on my finger felt suddenly heavy as I watched Liam fidget across the living room. We were supposed to be picking out centerpieces for the wedding, a task I'd been genuinely excited about. Now, a knot of dread sat tight in my stomach. Liam had found a dusty photo album tucked away in the back of my closet. It wasn't anything scandalous, just pictures from high school, goofy group shots, and one of me and Ben, my high school sweetheart at prom. But on the back, Liam had fixated on a faded inscription. To Sarah, my forever, always and always Ben. For a moment there was a stunned silence. Then Liam cleared his throat, his voice tight. Who's Ben? My heart hammered in my chest. Oh, Ben. I forced a laugh that came out brittle. Just an old friend. Liam wasn't convinced. He asked follow-up questions, his tone laced with a dawning suspicion. Finally, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the window, he blurted, "Were you ever with him?" Shame washed over me, suffocating. The truth, a truth I'd kept buried for years, threatened to spill out. "Yes," I whispered, the word heavy in the silence. Liam's face drained of color. The photo album slipped from his grasp, fluttering to the floor with a soft thud. He ran a hand through his hair, his jaw clenched tight. "But you said—" His voice trailed off, a question hanging heavy in the air. "I know," I choked back tears. "I'm sorry. I couldn't bring myself to finish the sentence. Shame had been my shield for so long, but now it felt like a flimsy wall on the verge of crumbling. We sat in a tense silence for what felt like hours. The setting sun painted the room in shades of orange and purple, a stark contrast to the emotional turmoil swirling inside me. Finally, Liam spoke, his voice hoarse. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I was scared," I confessed, my voice trembling. "Scared you wouldn't want me anymore." The truth was a tangled mess. We'd been dating for 3 years, and Liam had always been very traditional. He'd never explicitly said anything about virginity, but I'd picked up on cues, a passing comment about wanting a first love, a slight disapproval when a friend mentioned a past relationship. Liam rose and walked to the window, his back to me. He stared out at the darkening sky for a long time, then turned, his eyes filled with a storm of emotions. "Does it matter to you?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "That you're not my first," I answered, my throat tight. "Honestly, no, not anymore. We were young, and it's in the past." He didn't answer for a moment. Then he took a deep breath and sat down beside me on the couch. "It matters to me," he admitted, his voice laced with pain. "I've always pictured getting married, with a first time, with you." My heart ached. The image of a white dress and a pristine future we'd both envisioned shattered in my mind. "I understand," I whispered, tears welling up in my eyes. We talked for hours that night, raw and honest. I told him about Ben, a sweet boy who'd held my hand at the movies and stolen my first kiss. There was innocence, yes, but also a clumsiness, a lack of knowledge that felt a world away from the passionate connection I shared with Liam. As I talked, I saw a flicker of understanding in Liam's eyes. He admitted his own anxieties, the pressure of societal expectations, and a fear that my past relationships somehow diminished what we had. But even with the conversation, the silence hung heavy between us. The carefree joy of planning our future had vanished, replaced by a sense of uncertainty. The next few days were agonizing. We went through the motions of work, saw friends, but the weight of the secret cast a long shadow. One evening, we found ourselves back in our living room, the neglected centerpiece decorations a silent reminder of the derailed wedding planning. This time, Liam spoke first. "Sarah," he said, his voice hesitant, "what if What if virginity doesn't define love? His question hit me with a force that made me blink back tears. What if it doesn't? I echoed, a spark of hope flickering in my chest. We spent that evening talking, not about the past, but about what we envisioned for our future. We talked about honesty, trust, and the shared experiences that had built our love. We spoke about dreams, fears, and the kind of life we wanted to create together. As we talked, the heavy weight in the room slowly lifted. It wasn't a light and easy conversation, but it was a necessary one. By the end of the night, a tentative peace had settled between us. The white dress and pristine future might have been shattered, but the foundation of our love, the one built on honest communication and respect, remained. The next morning, Liam surprised me with a bouquet of wildflowers, a far cry from the extravagant roses he usually brought. "These reminded me of the first time we met," he said, a shy smile gracing his lips. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. It meant that our relationship wasn't defined by a single point in the past, but by the journey we were taking together. The road to the altar wasn't smooth. There were moments of doubt, whispers of insecurity that crept in, especially when surrounded by friends discussing their first times. But we faced them head on, open communication becoming our new normal. We decided to postpone the wedding, not because of the virginity revelation, but because we realized we wanted our big day to celebrate a love built on a foundation of complete honesty and acceptance. We used the extra time to delve deeper into premarital counseling, focusing on communication and building a future together. The day we finally walked down the aisle, the sun glinted off the same diamond ring, but it felt different. It wasn't just a symbol of a future promise, but a testament to a love that had weathered a storm and emerged stronger. My past didn't define me, nor did it diminish the love Liam felt. Our marriage wasn't perfect, of course. There were arguments, disagreements, and moments of frustration, but we had learned to navigate them together, using the foundation of trust and honesty we'd built. Years later, sitting on our porch swing, watching our children play in the fading light, Liam turned to me, a smile crinkling the corners of his eyes. "Remember that time you freaked out because I found that old photo album?" he asked, his voice laced with amusement. I laughed, a warm feeling spreading through me. "How could I forget? You almost called off the wedding." "Almost," he amended, squeezing my hand. "But then we talked. And honestly, Sarah, that conversation made our love stronger. It taught us to face anything together, no secrets, no shame." He leaned in and kissed my forehead. "You're still my forever, you know," he whispered. Tears welled up in my eyes, not tears of shame or regret, but of gratitude. The past, with all its imperfections, had led me to the man I loved, the man who loved me back, completely and unconditionally. And that, I realized, was a love story worth cherishing.
Please subscribe to my channel Lessons of Life and press the bell notification icon.